Welcome to the Riley Center. Welcome to the Hall of Fame room. My name is Steve Mest, class of 91, graduate of St. Bonaventure. I work here in the athletic department. I have for just a couple of years. I'm really honored to be asked to serve as MC for today for the dedication of the St. Bonaventure University ticket office for the late Mr. Larry Ford, Bona's class of 1962. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you. This, of course, is such a fantastic day of celebration. Look around the room. I told people it was going to be standing room only, and here we are. So again, thank you all for being here, many from a great distance away. It's a great day of celebration of the legacy of Larry Ford, a Bonaventure graduate, a Bonaventure man, a man who loved this university and really loved this community. It's appropriate that we're here in the Riley Center, where Larry made such a lasting impact on the thousands of students, faculty, coaches, staff that he touched over his 30-plus years here, and where his family also made so many memories. I suggest it is also fitting that we're here on the day of the Franciscan Cup game. Larry was so intertwined professionally and personally with Bonnie's basketball and the Franciscan Friar community, both of which will be on full display here this afternoon on Bob Lanier Court. So with that as the backdrop, here's what you can expect from our program. We will hear about Larry Ford from some of his closest friends here at Bona's, those who worked with him, who celebrated alongside him and his family over their time together on the good journey. Those friends are going to tell you more about how we came to this point today, and we will recognize all of you for your generosity in giving back to St. Bonaventure in honor of Larry Ford. As you gave back, it was not only to honor Larry, but it also to help ensure the tradition that we all love will be here for the next generation of Bonnies. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce the VIPs seated with us at the front of the room. To my left, Dr. Jeff Gingrich, president of St. Bonaventure University, and his wife, Betsy. Father Stephen Mimnaugh, vice president for mission integration. And our director of athletics, Joe Manhertz. And on this side of the room, the fundraising committee, all of whom are proud Bona's grads. These are former colleagues of Larry. They formed this concept, they hatched the idea to honor Larry, and then gave of their time and their treasure for this effort. First, Mary Piccioli. I'm going to give you their titles when they all worked here at St. Bonaventure. Mary, this is not their current titles. Mary, although they might still want them, some of them. Mary Piccioli, director. She was the director of financial aid and the dean of enrollment. Now, I know she could still coach basketball and could do it very, very well, but she's going to let it up to Jim Crowley. MJ Telford, she was associate director of admissions. She was head coach, as I said, of women's basketball, and not to mention, a member of our Athletics Hall of Fame. He served as director of public relations and sports information director, Tom McElroy. And John Broderick, who was also director of public relations here at Bona's and is now past president of Old Dominion University. And last but certainly not least, we welcome the entire Ford family. A lot of them here today. Welcome Sue Ford here in the front row. Sue, could you give a wave? And the Ford children, Father Larry, Ryan and his wife Pam, Sean and his wife Nora, Colleen and Brendan, and the extended Ford family. Welcome. We are thrilled to have you all here today. Welcome home. And now for our opening prayer, I'd like to ask Father Stephen Mimnaugh to come to the podium.
Thank you, Steve. It is truly heartwarming to see so many people gathered here today to honor the memory and contribution of someone who was described to me as joyful and generous in sharing that joy with others, and a father figure to so many students. So let us pray. Good and gracious God, we gather to honor the memory of a man who embodied the best that St. Bonaventure University offers its students, faculty, and staff. At this time of year, when the church anticipates the coming of Christ, we are aware that it is our duty to be Christ in our world. May we follow the good example of Larry Ford, whose dedicated service to the university exemplified that same Christian duty. Today, as stories of remembrance are shared, may we depart aware that Larry's service was not an end in itself, but an example to be followed and paid forward. In this time of hope-filled anticipation, we make this prayer calling out the name Emmanuel, God is with us. And together we say, Amen.
Thank you, Father Stephen. Now, to begin the dedication, I'd like to welcome to the podium Tom McElroy.
You got a bag of tricks. I'd like to acknowledge some folks, starting with Jeff and Betsy. Had the pleasure of being in Boston at Arch Street 10 days ago for alumni reception with the president and the trustees. It's the third time I've heard Jeff speak in the year and plus he's been here. I got to tell you, he has captured and understood the mission and legacy of this place so quickly. And it was very interesting hearing his remarks in Boston after having heard him 12 months and 6 months when he had just come on board. And he would, in his early remarks, he talked about, they told me about the alumni when I was interviewing for this job. The alumni of this, alumni of that. And you go, yeah, every school talks about the alumni. And he said, no, you people are different. You're really different. And what's happened now is he has understood and quickly understood the mission and tradition. He's got a vision. He's got a vision for what we have to take advantage of, those things that make us unique. This is not a fun time in higher education. We have challenges, but we have the right leadership in place. And I urge you, if you haven't met Jeff and Betsy, do yourself a favor and meet them and support him. Support him in many ways. So Jeff, thank you for what you do, and Godspeed. It's always great coming back home. And the 60 alumni in this room understand that. It's home when the brothers and sisters get together. It's just something about this. And what makes it so special is the Friars. We see them. You're here. And it's easy for the Siena Friars to be here. Welcome. Thanks for bringing the cup back. But I'll come back in June for my 50th reunion. I sit here, and Dominic Monti is still here. John O'Connor has come back. He looks younger than he did 20 years ago. I think he put out a fire last night in Allegheny. And when John came in 72, 73, not yet ordained, came with 3 other younger friars, at a time that this campus, the student body, needed something. It was civil rights, it was Vietnam. They didn't allow us to visit the girls in the girls' dorms. Hot button issue. The barns burned. And these young friars uplifted us. And it hasn't changed. We come back and we still feel the same thing. And to see John here, and if he does what he did for our generation of students, you've got a good team working with you. It's terrific. So welcome, John. And I think Dominic's in the room. Oh, he's coming. He'll be here. Good friend of Larry's. To my 60 brother and sister alumni, friends, it's great. You know, we know that link that Larry was, and we don't look at Larry as was. Larry's is to us. Larry is to us, and I think that's important. To the friends from Olean and Allegheny and the St. Mary's Parish that supported this fund, supported the Fords. We made new friends along the way. We never asked anybody for an amount, and MJ will do more on this. I don't want to steal her thunder. It was interesting, the people that came, the alumni that evolved, we knew this was going to happen. 10 short summer weeks, and on the Feast of St. Francis, we hit the goal. We're 20% beyond the gold. We're not done. I think if you gave us 3 more months and we were doing this at a game in February, you'd need a bigger plaque, Joe. You know, the Bonaventure Boulder Campaign calls us to ignite and inspire. That's what Larry did. To so many people, all walks of life, and particularly students on this campus. The Boulder Campaign calls us to invest. Our investment pales into comparison to what Larry invested here with a gift of dedicated service, passion, energy, humor, and mentorship. And he demonstrated his love for people in a very profound and tireless Franciscan way. He heard Francis's call: preach the gospel, use words if necessary. Larry was a man of very few words. He didn't need words to preach that gospel. I want to share with you some comments donors made. I should use my glasses, gang. He had purpose. He knew the job required work, and he set about to do it. People loved him. He didn't push anybody. He took care of people. He was concerned about people. He was concerned about their welfare and about their future. He wanted each of them to reach their potential. He was a real gentleman, and he had this Irish way about him. That man could easily be Larry Ford. It is not. It's Carol Mike Riley, who this building is named for, and where Larry worked. This story was written by Mary Freeman, freshman journalism major, April 1974, my senior semester. Is Mary here? Yeah. I have every Bonaventure from my 4 years in plastic in my attic in Rhode Island. And I knew there was a story about Mike, and I was a senior when they were naming the building. Who's this guy, Mike? And Mary tells the story of who he is. And everything in the story, that's our Larry. Mike's boys, as they call themselves, Mike was class of 25. He'd been the AD, he'd been a coach, a math professor. And they call themselves his boys. And his boys went out and raised the money. The plaques on the northwest corner are Cherish Mike. It says his boys. Well, today, Larry's men and women are celebrating our Larry. Easily, the two of them are the same. And they have this common attribute and strength about this place. So for 50 years, 3 generations of Bonaventure students walking from Plasman to this building see Mike's plaque. There's a picture of him outside the bookstore, rosy-faced Irish guy. Looks like Pat O'Brien. He could have played Rockney in the movie. And you see the plaque. My hope is over the next 50 years, the generations of Bonaventure young people that walk past Larry's plaque will stop and say, who's Larry Ford? Why does he have a plaque? And if they do, we have a chance to be even bolder and better in our future. You know, I guess as you get and realize I'm 70, you start thinking about your mortality and thinking about people in your life that impacted you. And I don't know if I believe in the paranoia. I never took Father Alphonse's class. It was called Spooks. So I'm not sure what I think about predestination and paranormal. But ever since Sue commissioned this project, I started hearing from Larry. No apparition, just whispers. He was a man of few words. And always about people. Kind of like that Iowa farmer, Ray Kinsella in Field of Dreams. You're nodding your head, yeah. And it was kind of like that. And I don't know whether it was Larry whispering or the stories the people in this room and the 175 people who gave to this told us. Stories that I'd heard, stories that were tweaked and turned. I come now, and it's Saturday. It's game day. This was Larry's day. Larry lived for Saturdays. Lived for Saturdays. I'm not going to disrespect him because he's in the ear. So I want you to pause. You are now seated in one of Larry Ford's many, many classes that he lectured on in his very popular course, Life Skills. Dr. Ford. Yes, Dr. Ford. We call him Dr. Ford, the students. Kind of like to amuse the faculty sometime. Why are you calling this guy Dr. Ford? He took 7 years to get out of this place. You call him Dr. Ford. Well, why not? He was our professor and our confessor. He earned a PhD in common sense, honoris causa, from the University of Life. He aced all his courses, his doctoral courses, at classes on the many campuses the University of Life has. In Bridgeport, Connecticut, the beaches of the Long Island Sound, the old Buffalo Ord, Hickey Kitchen, Army Base Fort Lewis in Washington State, and in the Friary Rec Room, a lot of night classes. He closed up, but he always cleaned up. Unfortunately, he's not here today. He's detained. He said something like, I'm with some friends. I couldn't write them down fast enough. He had so many friends. But I do recall Stax and Gervais and Patty Fitz, Jim Toll, Brother Ed. He said something about Theophilus and Frank Storms hung the Friars' boat up over the Kinzu Dam. And Bernie Creighton couldn't fix it, so Larry had a job to do today. So he couldn't be here. So he gave me some instructions. And it's easy when you deal with Dr. Ford and its instructions because he wrote a textbook. Thank God Bob Jordan remembered to bring it. Street Smarts, the Everyday Guide to Community Service. Bob's is autographed on the inside. Franciscan Institute Press. I think you can buy it in the bookstore. This, and it's a small book because Larry was a man of few words. So there's no last chapter to Larry's book. But he does have a chapter that I'd like to take you to. Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Excuse me. Larry was very simple guy. Simple guy. All he wanted to do was love his family and serve the Friars. He was the kind of guy you always wanted for a next-door neighbor. Watch your kids, fix your lawnmower. Heck, he could fix your car. Install a kitchen window. It's a true story. Put down a cement patio, and then give you a cold Labatt's or brew you the best Irish coffee this side of Dublin. It was unbelievable. He could very well have been the poster child for his generation, the silent generation. They were the sons and daughters of the parents who lived through 2 world wars and the Great Depression. And anthropologists tell us this generation, what am I doing with my glasses? Too many visual aids here. This generation had a deep respect for authority. They often worked in the same job or the same company for the majority of their careers. Not only loyal to their careers, they were loyal to their religious beliefs, their marriage, their families, their relationships, and this country. They valued stability, and likewise, they were stable and dependable. This generation valued honesty and trustworthiness. The silent generation, Larry's generation, had grit and strength and a strong sense of determination. That's his DNA. What's really refreshing, you see the DNA in his 5 children and his 6 grandchildren, 4 of which are here today. They've captured those things from their grandpa. Their respect for people, their humor, their athletic interest. They're a little bit more athletic than their grandpa. Early on, Larry was introduced to the ways of the world because he was born into an Irish clan, living in a triple-decker, working-class Bridgeport neighborhood. He paid attention to his stay-at-home mom, Julia, and dinner table lessons from his father, John, who walked a beat as a cop. They instilled in Larry a simple principle. Just be true to yourself, never try to be anything more, and whatever you do, do it the right way, and even better if it's in the service to others. Like his dad, Larry was a man of the streets, not policing, community streets. And his streets were Olands, Union, State, York, and Henley. That's where he did his street ministry. That's how he linked with his community. He was blessed with a great eye and a huge heart. He could see a person in need and often reach them before they were able to reach him, shy to reach him, afraid to. He could see that in people. He had an innate sense to do that. And quickly, he put them at ease. Larry did not simply connect with people. What he did, he engaged, he embraced, he gathered people. And he gathered people to serve those that needed to be served and to say to the rest of us, I need your help. You have been blessed. Come help me. We've got some projects to do. Yes, Dr. Ford, we're coming. He never forgot how we got here and lasted here. It wasn't easy. Sean tells us, Larry's third son, my dad majored in survival. His brother John, class of 50, said to the Friars, take my brother. It was a plea. Take my brother, please. You know, those Jesuits at Fairfield Prep ain't everything you think they are. So Julia and John brought Larry to Bonaventure. He got in a bus, went back home before they got home. No class, he just went back. They come back home and he's in Bridgeport. So they bring him back again. Thank you, Father Brian Loder, Cosmos Gerard, Fidelis O'Rourke. They took him back because of Brother John's plea, take my brother. It didn't go so well academically. So Larry took an undergraduate sabbatical, Fort Lewis, Washington, military police. And now he comes back. This is a great story. He comes back. He's not really academically qualified. So who's there for him? Gervais. Gervais gives him a class load, tells him, go to class, do the work, get your grades, because next semester, Father Cornelius Welch will have to accept you. We called him Corny Welch. Corny was pretty stringent on academics. John knows. He's not commenting. So Larry, when he would come out of Plasman Hall, and if you saw Corny coming down the hallway, there were bushes in front of Plasman. He would duck behind bushes. So the Cornelius didn't know he was here. There was no computers to enroll kids. Gervais got him in. You know, and fortunately, he hit the grade, and in 1962, thanks to Gervais, Gordon Murphy, and Francis Carney, Larry got his degree. By the early 70s, it was Larry who was taking care of the Friars. They had taken care of him. He was taking care of them. And he was taking care of this campus. He knew every Friar on this campus, even the ones in the bowels of the Institute that the students didn't know, the ones that would do their class and go back. He knew them by first name, last name, where they're from, and everything else. I think he knew more Friars than the board at 31st Street. I really do. He knew the Friars at Krogan and Winstead, Rye Beach, Beach Haven, CKS. He was always there for them. Sorry. He knew Gideon, Aurelius, Charlie Adams, Basil, Dermot, Conrad, Maurice Shire, Felton, Zachary, Martian, and there was two Friars they called Stinky and Finky. Look at John. Nah, I'm not going to... Larry knew that. Larry knew that, and out of respect to... But he knew that. And he also knew the Friars that the students, we only knew them as Scruffy Joe, True Grit. Bet you nobody took that chemistry class in this room. TQ, again, Corny Welch, Spooks, Tony Toons, Barney Rubble, Hurls. He knew them all. Oh, he didn't. And so with Larry, like, you know, some men, as we get old, I'm a big Yankee fan, I collect Yankee baseball cards. Larry collected Friar death cards. When the Friars died, they put out these cards. I asked Father Steve, they still do it. You know, so he had them. He had them over the visor of his car. He had them on his bulletin board in his office. You go down the stairs to his basement to, you know, do the laundry. He's got Friar cards. He had Friar cards. I don't know what happened to the collection. And so that's Larry, collected dead Friars. Reverend Fathers, forgive me. He connected especially with students, you know, and I think he connected with the students that struggled because he saw himself. He saw what they could be, and he was there for them. Always reminded of that unplanned academic sabbatical. He was always quick to a student in need, help with a professor, emotional boost, a job. He loved his blue coats. How many blue coats in the room? Come on, come on. Backbones of the campaign. These were the guys that were ushers at games. I don't want to embarrass them. They raised their hand, then you can know the guys that were in academic trouble. But they graduated, Jeff. Handpicked them. You know, he was there for them, and they got better stories than I do. He delivered guidance and support with a quick Irish counsel. Always quiet. Never a cross word. Never raised his voice. He had this unique look. He'd give you this look, like his eyebrow would raise. He was calling you BS. He'd not to say a word. He called you BS, and you knew. He'd tell you to man up. He did it with a look, not with words. Francis would have loved him. He was preaching that gospel. He chaired the university's student arbitration panel, which was the J Board. He got in big-time trouble. He went to the J Board. He was the chairman for years. A colleague said he was always fair, consistent, and considerate of both sides. His wisdom was certainly came in different packages. He had that blessing. He was very Franciscan. He was called Mr. Ford by the many and often underappreciated hourly employees on this campus. The maintenance workers, the Devereux maids. We had maids in Devereux. The cooks in Hickey and the Friary, who 7 days a week keep this campus running. Larry would often help them find winter clothing, used furniture, bus fare, get their heat turned back on. He found solutions to make the lives of the most simple of people better. Please, he'd tell them, call me Larry. Don't call me Larry Ford. He was Uncle Lar. Here they are. The Legion of Connecticut, Bonnie's students, the nieces and nephews from Laurelton and Fairfield Prep. He was Uncle Lar. And the beauty of Uncle Lar, their roommates called him Uncle Lar. They wished he was his uncle too. And to this day, 30 years later, those alums, he's Uncle Lar, right, gang? Give yourself a hand. This is the Ford clan. They were donors to this campaign. Didn't flinch. Loved their Uncle Lar. He connected no differently with trustees and faculty, be it the first-year instructor trying to figure out how to live here on a meager salary, or whether it was Dr. Wallace or John Gusson. Doc Wallace is the only person I know who called him Lawrence. Nobody called him Lawrence. Is that correct? Nobody. Thank you. And when Doc Wallace called him Lawrence, it was a title of affection, respect, and encouragement. He delivered with his Irish twinkle of an eye. He loved Larry. He connected with the area business leaders, civic leaders, religious leaders. The late Reverend Richard Duncan, rector at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church, John, you know him well, once told Stax McCarthy, "My members of my congregation think Larry's an Episcopalian." Larry served all denominations and all political affiliations. The message was clear. And forget about him being Irish. I like this part about Larry. He connected with the Dons of Olean and Allegheny, many of the ruling families in the hospitality industry. I'm half Italian. I can get away with this. In Olean, it was Don Donovan, Don Buccello, Don Machino, Don Mara, Don Savoia, Don Capoletti. In Allegheny, it was Don Annunziato and Don Pesamenti. And on this very campus, it was Tony B and Tony Z, and the first Rathskeller manager, Don Leo of Titus, class of 70. Larry got their food donations and made sure they were delivered to families in need in this greater community. Might explain why Reverend Duncan and his people thought he was Episcopalian. He had this most eclectic band of brothers, his apostles. We were disciples. These guys were the apostles. Ever faithful consigliaries at his side. Stax, Chuck Ward, Dr. Gordy Sear, Profs Watson and Martini, the inseparable Frank Storms and Theophilus, and even Scooter O'Day. As if they were Olean's answer to Francis with his brothers on the cobbled streets of Assisi in the 13th century. He called on these apostles, and many of the disciples never hesitated. Missions were accomplished. And oh how, I talked about ministry. He loved Saturdays. This is great that we're doing this on a Saturday. Saturdays was when Larry did his best ministry. The perfect Saturday was all about local chores. Better with one or more of the kids in tow. Usually the Irish triplets. Larry, Ryan, and Sean. Give Sue a break. Got them out of the house. It started with a stop at a hardware store. Larry loved hardware stores. He'd fix anything. Then drop your cleaning off at John Ash, haircuts at Joey Fratz. And then he'd have to go fix it at the homes of Gusson and Martini, because those two professors didn't even know what a screwdriver was. He'd fix theirs. And now it's getting to be lunchtime. But he runs across town, he delivers tickets. Maybe 3 homes to families in need. Make a birthday gift for a child or a Christmas gift. He would take the tickets that were donated back by folks and made sure they got in the hand of somebody who could never get to a Bonaventure game, to get to a kid. That's what he did. Time for lunch. Elephant ear sandwiches at Angie's. That was the only bologna in Larry's life. That was it. And then he would take the boys for a cold soda with his favorite philosopher, Teddy Welch. Race back here, open the ticket office. Trusted aide Martha Klotz and student worker extraordinaire, class of 78, Ann Meehan Pusatari. That was there where Larry greeted the public as they came in. Tickets, when the bounties are going good, is a powerful, powerful tool. Never scalped them, but he made sure unused tickets did good for this program, this university. After a blowout of Canisius, his day wasn't over. It was on to the castle, cheeseburger, and a perfect bourbon Manhattan. And he did it with the royalty from the game, the officials and the coaches, the visiting coaches, never together. Larry shared cheers, laughter, stories with the legendary Hall of Fame coach Ray Meyer, Detroit's Dickie V, Freddie Barakat from Fairfield. He loved beating Fairfield. Seton Hall's Billy Raftery, Nova's Rolly Massimino, and of course the great Toastmaster Frank Layden from Niagara. He warmed their winters in Olean, usually after a well-coached win by Satlin or Weesey. Didn't matter. Closing time with Larry, everybody went home a winner. I'd say Larry saved his greatest preaching without words. After 3+ decades of dedicated service, grace, and finesse at this university ended. As described by a fellow colleague and mentor, Bob Carr, Larry pivoted. The community called, more specifically, the late, Elaine Dwyer and the late Jim Driscoll. St. Mary's parish leaders, they had lost their principal, Southern Tier Catholic. Larry, we need you to help us out. It's Christmas week, 1995. Sure, forget about interim. No interview, no resume. For 3 years, he guided St. Mary's Southern Tier Catholic. He knew it was time to stop, but he engaged that faculty, and now he was leading the formation of young people, just as he had been a formation director for Bonaventure students 20 years before, and then a lifetime career counselor to Bonaventure students. It was time, and all the while, he stayed connected to Bonaventure, silently. Athletic directors Ron Zerline and Stevie Watson had roles for him. Larry served as a non-trustee on the subcommittee on athletics. Stevie Watson made sure he was a one-man old-timers committee so we didn't miss any deserving athlete from a past era. One-man old-timers committee, Larry. And whoever he nominated, nobody knows, but Stevie saw the value. It was 20 years ago, before Sue and Larry packed up to New England to be near children and 6 grandchildren, that athletics honored him with the framed 62 jersey on the court. And you know, it was like no surprise that Larry did that, because he had been this quiet, de facto deputy AD to athletic moderators Canisius Connors and Gerald McCaffrey, and his lifelong friend, Larry Weesey. He was a counselor to coaches from Eddie Dunham and Mark Schmidt, and more importantly, to a lot of Bonaventure coaches that aren't in the headlines about Bonaventure athletics. He was there, richly deserved the 62 jersey. His greatest achievement, a recognition, was when Margaret shocked him at a staff Christmas party with the university's 150th anniversary medal. The university had created this medal as an award to recognize individuals who had been significant in the mission and history of Bonaventure and who had demonstrated uncommon support in doing so. And indeed, that's what Larry did. Larry wanted nothing more to love his family and thank the Friars. Twice, if you count the bus trip, 3 times, the kid from Bridgeport was accepted back here by the Friars. they made him a Bonaventure man. In doing so, he quietly embraced a lifetime commitment to this university and was at the center of transformational Franciscan experiences for countless members of this community and the many in the local community. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for this privilege and the time to allow you, on behalf of the 175 donors, to have shared and introduced my friend and mentor for life, Larry Ford. He continues to ignite and inspire us to do good works, especially in the service for those who need support, guidance, friendship, and the greater glory of this university. Pax et bonum.
You forgot your glasses. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Go back. Go back. You're good. Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. I'd like to now ask John Broderick. John, would you please escort Mrs. Ford to the front here to my left, and they're going to be joined by Dr. Gingrich at this time.
Well, good afternoon to everyone. I told President Jeff this morning this is my first time in front of a microphone in over a year, so the temptation to speak is just there. And I haven't had a script in a long time, but I'm going to do my best to stick with it. So my job is to read to you what's on the plaque. And I think as I read the plaque, we can't help but think there's an awful lot of Sue Ford that's mentioned on this plaque too. So it's going to be called, as we all know, the Larry Ford Ticket Office. And it'll say this: in grateful appreciation of his dedicated service with passion, energy, humor, mentorship, and always an enthusiastic commitment to Franciscan values. In honor of Lawrence D. Ford Sr., 62 BS, 81 MSED. And it will say 1962 to 1994, 32 years of service, which included the Assistant Director of Food Service, the first Director of the Riley Center and Ticket Manager, Director of Personnel and Auxiliary Services, dedicated December 9th, 2023, from alumni, friends, family, and colleague. And I want to tell you just one personal story about Larry. Because when I was named the Director of Public Relations, he was the chair at a search committee. So when I got back here, I went in to talk to him my first day. And I said to him, well, you chaired this search. What kinds of things did I do to get the job? And I must admit, I was fishing for some compliments, right? Who wouldn't? He said to me, well, there are 3 things you did well. I thought this is going to be good. He says, you're Irish, you're Catholic, and you're from Connecticut. That got you to. So that was Larry Ford to me.
Thank you, John. So on behalf of St. Bonaventure University, I could not be more proud to name the St. Bonaventure Ticket Office the Larry Ford Ticket Office.
All right, and now I'd like to welcome to the podium MJ Telford. MJ?
I didn't expect to be a little choked up after that, but I am. Welcome, everyone. It's such a tribute to Larry to see so many friends and family members here today to celebrate him and to realize and celebrate the special place he had in our lives and will always have in our hearts. Thank you for coming from near and far, and there were people that have come from far, so we're very appreciative to participate in the naming today of the Larry Ford Ticket Office. And it's certainly especially touching to see this front row with the Ford family of Sue and Father Larry, Ryan, Sean, Colleen, Brendan, to welcome them back to this momentous occasion to celebrate a man that obviously was so very, very important in their life and in our lives. So many of us hold so many treasured memories of the Ford family over the past 50 years, and it's just wonderful to welcome them back here with a lot of their old friends who, as Tom said, had an Irish coffee or something else at the house, did some laundry, lots of things at York Street. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank so many people that helped make this happen, express my gratitude to them. Thank you to the committee for their time and their leadership since we started brainstorming back in the late spring. I'm very grateful to Colleen Crino and Mandy Davis in our Advancement Operations Office, who were instrumental behind the scenes with the logistics that were involved of coding, printing letters, keeping track of all the donations, and collaboratively working with me. Lindsay Retchless, who's our Director of Alumni Engagement, and Steve Mest were instrumental throughout, especially in planning today's celebration. So I thank them for all of their efforts, all of those people. I think Larry, those of you who knew Larry, was such a behind-the-scenes man and made so many things happen that people didn't quite know, how did that happen? And well, Larry Ford was behind it. So I think Larry would be very appreciative of the efforts of all of those people and their dedication to make this campaign a success. We're here to celebrate the legacy and contributions of Larry at his beloved alma mater, and he certainly did love this place. But we're also here to express our heartfelt gratitude to you and to all of our donors who contributed to this campaign. You made this meaningful and deserved recognition of Larry a reality. We are deeply touched by your remarkable support for this campaign. When I saw that the ticket office was on the list of naming opportunities for the Boulder Bonaventure Capital Campaign, I knew that so many people would immediately say there is only one name that should be on that wall, Larry Ford. So our committee went to work and initiated an old-fashioned grassroots campaign to try to identify friends, alumni, and family whose relationship with Larry was and remains an important and integral part of their lives. I know we didn't think of everyone because I've had several people come up to me and say, why didn't I get a letter? Why didn't you ask me for money? Now, how often does that happen? And they meant it. I do want to make sure that no one feels that they're going to be left out. We still are accepting gifts for the campaign, so don't be shy. But thank you to, again, everyone for your support and your love of Larry for making this happen. The memorial gifts made at the time of Larry's death in 2018 and those made through May of 2023 totaled $12,830, and that was the foundation for this campaign. Letters were mailed on July 24th, and 3 days later, we had gifts starting to come in. We're immensely grateful and thrilled with the overwhelming response by you and by many other donors whose generosity enabled this campaign not only to reach, but to surpass the $50,000 goal. The power of connections and relationships has been apparent and is at the center of this campaign. A total of 266 gifts have been made by 198 unique donors, including a few matching gifts. What a resounding declaration of the tremendous appreciation and love that hundreds of people still have for this true Bonaventure man. The fund will support the renovation of the ticket office, which will remain in its current location here in the Raleigh Center. The improvements will include technology enhancements to provide excellent customer service, new furniture, and cosmetic upgrades to the office. And I'm thinking that maybe we can even include a ceramic model of an ashtray with a partly smoked Topstone cigar so that we really know it is the Larry Ford ticket office. Any remaining funds will be allocated to the Athletic Performance Center, which is a top priority in the athletic component of the ongoing Older Bonaventure campaign, which is the largest in university history. In a moment, the committee is going to present President Gingrich with a check that represents the total amount of money that has been raised as of yesterday, December 8th. Once again, I want to thank each of you and all of our donors. Together, let us continue living in this moment of joyful gratitude for all those who chose to support this endeavor and made the Larry Ford ticket office a reality. What a special group to be part of. And now, Dr. Gingrich, if you could come up and our committee members could come over, and we're going to unveil the check. So on behalf of all of you and all of our donors, again, near and far, we'd like to present to you, President, and to St. Bonaventure a check for $60,320.
I don't think that will fit in my wallet, but what a great event. Thank you all for being here today, and this has been a really special time to remember Larry and to think about the future, not just the past as well. Tom, I want to thank you for your words earlier and your comment about how quickly Betsy and I have kind of been able to engage the mission and the spirit here. And I got to say, it's an easy thing to do at St. Bonaventure because of the legacies that existed before us. And those legacies, we have many legacies in sports and academics, but it's not just, at St. Bonaventure, it's not just about big buildings. It's not just about huge grants that we've received. It's really about the people, and the people are the legacies here. And so it's so wonderful today to commemorate one of our greatest legacies, which is Larry Ford. I want to thank everyone not only for being here, but for your generous gifts. This is outstanding to exceed the goal by this much at this point, and to know that we will continue to receive more of your gifts that may come in. I want to offer a special thanks to MJ, to John, to Tom, to Mary for all the work that went into this, for being the guiding force here to make all this happen. Let's give them another round of applause. There's a love there for Larry that's evident, and that's I want you to know that we see that love for Larry in your organization of this. And a deep, deep thanks to Sue and to the entire Ford family for allowing us to honor Larry in this way. And our St. Bonaventure First Lady has some flowers for Sue, for you here as well. And Sue, we all know that Larry was who he was in a large part because you are who you are. And so thank you. And in honoring Larry, we also honor you and all your family as well. You know, I did not get a chance to meet Larry, but it's been a joy for me to get to know Larry through this initiative. And so many people, I can't tell you how many people have said to me that Larry exemplified everything that we're about here at St. Bonaventure. Just the example of everything. One of the most decent human beings who modeled the Franciscan ethos in so many ways, was such a devout Catholic, grasped what it meant to be a Franciscan, and apparently knew those Franciscans quite well. So committed to the university, and everything I've heard has been that it was not a job for him, it was a vocation, it was his life. He's such a devout family man in so many ways, and of course, one of the craziest of Bonnie's basketball fans, and he led the way in that way as well. We don't do these namings easily. This is not something you give some money for a name and we do that name. We name these because of the legacy that exists here. And I can't think of no better naming opportunity since I've been here than with Larry's, naming this after Larry. This is significant for us. And as Tom said, having people walk by that ticket office and wondering who Larry Ford is worth it in every way, because we'll continue to talk with people about his lifestyle. So appropriate we named the ticket office after Larry, not just because he worked here, but more importantly that the ticket office in a lot of ways is the entryway into the Riley Center, which just signifies, in the Lanier Court, which signifies so much of the spirit of St. Bonaventure. We'll always remember our first game here at St. Bonaventure and just sitting there in awe of the excitement that was happening there, the passion that was happening there, the inappropriate comments of the students that was happening there. Even better, the inappropriate comments of the friars that were shouted out there. But I think about that the ticket office, in honoring this way and naming this the Larry Ford Ticket Office, in many ways, Larry is going to be ushering us all in to where so much of the spirit of St. Bonaventure takes place. And so we're so grateful to do this today. We're so happy to lead this forward and knowing that Larry will be honored every day, every year from here on out at St. Bonaventure. So thank you all for your generosity, for your presence, and for your love of St. Bonaventure. Know that we love you deeply as well. Thank you.
Now, please welcome our athletic director, Joe Manhertz.
I don't have a script, and I wasn't scheduled to talk, but getting here this morning, I just have to tell you guys how moved I am. I never envisioned this. When they brought this idea to us, absolutely, let's go for it. And wow, I have to tell you, I'm moved. And Tom, as a professor, Jeff, can I be a professor today?
Yes.
I give you an extension on that paper. You have a couple months to keep going, and the first letter better be to me because I'm in. And I'm in bigger than I've been before. So I'm really moved because what we talk about in athletics is legacy. We always try and find a way. And we kind of define it in different ways, but you can see it today. Just take a look around the room. Just take a minute, take a look around the room. Do me that favor, please. Just take a look around the room. It's amazing, and it's Bonaventure in a nutshell. And so I just here want to echo everything that Dr. Gingert said, everything the committee said. Thank you guys for doing this and putting this together. I learned Larry was a man of short words, not long. Tom is not, but that's okay. That's okay because that passion is what Bonaventure is. And so, again, being short, I just want to say thank you again to the Ford family. You're always welcome here. My door's always open to you as long as the Riley Center is always open to you as well. So anything you guys need, please let us know. Anytime, anywhere, we'll be there for you for what you guys mean to us. So thank you. Thanks again.
We'd now like to invite Father Larry Ford to come forward for a blessing of the plaque and to close our dedication ceremony with a prayer. Father Larry?
Ryan just leaned next to me and said that he thinks he still has a master key to the Riley Center. So Joe will be showing up. The Ford family has been involved with Bonaventure now for more than 8 decades, since the time that Uncle John arrived when it was still a college. And he was the first Mr. Bonaventure in 1950 when it was the university. For 8.5 decades, we have been held, the Ford family and all of us, by a faith that is Christian, by a practice that is Catholic, and by a charism that is Franciscan, that is rooted in so many things, so it's really hard to pick 2 that are most important. But they are relationship and storytelling, which is the story of our faith. And it is that holds us together. Steve mentioned this season of God in our midst, and this is the face of God in this room. So as we prepare to bless this plaque, I've been thinking about my family's relationship with the university and what the university's values are right now. I think we'll see them in our dad. I think you'll recognize them in each other, in the relationships that go back through history and generations and extend through the breadth of friends that are here. You'll recognize a sense of compassion, a depth of wisdom, and a lived integrity, which is what the university is forming its students and its community in today. It's what we celebrate about our dad today, and it's something that we all live. So before I bless that plaque, what holds us together is our faith and our baptism. So I'd like to bless all of you, because it's all of us that live in relationship that we celebrate about our dad. And if we take up a collection and get that to 75,000, this counts for Mass. This counts for Mass tomorrow. Having come together, held together by relationships and stories, we bless this plaque that will welcome people to the Riley Center for generations to come. Our father was a person who worked publicly, but was more comfortable behind the scenes. So as we come to a final blessing, I'm mindful of Brother Leo, the one who was behind the scenes of St. Francis, who asked Francis for a blessing. So from Francis to Leo, from our family to all of you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he show his face to you and have mercy. May he turn his countenance to you and give you peace. And may the Lord bless us all in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father Larry, and all of our speakers. Thank you so much. Just a couple housekeeping items as we wrap up here. I'd be remiss if I did not introduce you all. If you don't know, Kathy Parmentier, our current ticket office manager. She's giving a wave over there. Obviously, hopefully everybody enjoys the rest of the day. We got the game at 4 o'clock. Maybe you want to stop by the ticket office. this event was way too big for us to hold it down near the bookstore and outside the ticket office, so we moved it here. But Kathy will be back at the ticket office after we're wrapped up here. So swing by, say hello. Bookstore. There's a cool place on campus you might know of called the Skeller that will be open. You can check that out pre-game there a little bit. So enjoy the beautiful weather too this afternoon. We do need to turn this room around, get ready for the basketball game, but we have time for some photos and so forth. So please, I'd like to ask the committee and the Ford family to come up front after we're done here for some pictures. You're all welcome to take some pictures. But again, thank you so much for everything, for being a part of this effort. Enjoy the rest of the day and go Bonus.